6. This is our call to order. We'll move to the consent agenda.
Item 2.1, I move that we approve the minutes from January 22nd of this fine year. Second that one?
The year of our Lord.
In the year of our Lord, 2026, yes.
I heard a second. All in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed? All right, moving into the regular agenda. For anybody that is here for item 3.1, which is flagship home request for review of transitional holding zoning at the Kirkham Estates, that item has been withdrawn from this meeting. It will likely come forward at another time.
I don't think it will be coming forward.
It maybe never will come forward,
Yeah.
but
maybe at some point, but not anytime soon.
but it has been withdrawn from this meeting. Yes, sir. Please come.
Point of question, what happens to the TH5 temporary designation?
Kim, would you please address that question?
So as far as this application, they have withdrawn. I believe it fell out of contract as far as, so this won't carry forward. I'm thinking maybe your question is, what does the transitional holding zone mean? And it's a large 5-acre agricultural. It does allow housing on 5-acre lots. It's really to be able to get a property into the city, but remain pretty much with what the rights were in the county. So it's just a holding zone. And then had they moved forward, they would have to come back later and rezone it for some kind of development. So.
That was my question.
Okay.
Thank you. We'll continue on with the regular agenda. Jacob.
Okay. Item 3.2 is public hearing and recommendation of Adam Albrecht's request for review of the Parker zone change on 2.4 acres located at 300 North Palomino Way, changing the zoning from A1 to R122. And this zone change is consistent with the general plan designation of VLDRA for the area. And I know the applicant's plan is to come back with a future single-family subdivision in the future. So with that, I'll turn it over to the Planning Commission for any questions.
Any questions for staff? Seeing none. This is a the applicant. Are you present? Not present. Ooh, tisk. All right.
Carry on.
Did anybody have any specific questions they wanted the applicant to address? No, seeing none. This is a public hearing. At this time, we'll open the public hearing. Invite anyone to the microphone that would like to speak to item 3.2. Mad rush has ended. We will close the public hearing and turn it over for a motion or deliberation.
There was an online comment for this one.
Sorry, let's reopen that public hearing and enter the online comment. Would you mind reading it?
Yeah, let me pull it up. Okay, so this comment comes from, let's see, CLG Properties, Sean and Jennifer Lewis. In regards to the zone change for this piece of property, we have no objections. I would like to bring forward an observation regarding 300 North. Currently, there are 6 homes on septic systems and 5 on wells. My understanding is that all the sewer mains in this area go 3 different directions. The first being east towards 900 North or 900 West, which is currently sloped out and cannot be extended. The second direction is towards Main Street, which serves the Newman direction or development down Palomino Way. And the third direction is west towards Main Street, 1500 West, which serves the 2 Gurney developments. And some of that line actually runs north before turning west towards 1500 North and tying into that main. I realize when these developments are happening that a lot of the infrastructure is provided by the developers regarding their property. At the current moment, sewer options for this 5+ acres are becoming a concern for development in the future. If there are not options, it may be the case for the property to the west. I'm simply reaching out to have the Planning and Zoning Commission aware of the infrastructure on 300 North to make you aware that in the future, if these properties on the north decide to develop, that there are options for affordable sewer and stubs to get sewer down 300 North. I'm simply asking that when these developments arise, that you take that into consideration, or the situation on 300 North into consideration, And if there are options for sewer stubs into 300 North, that they are not overlooked, maybe this is an area the city engineer's experience is needed. So that is the comment.
Thank you. That being read, we will close the public hearing. Gary, did you want to address any of that?
In this area, there's basically two ways that sewer can flow out of here. Yeah, so if you look on the map there, so there is a sewer line that dead ends about in front of the property there. It's an 8-inch sewer line. I think it's pretty deep. I can't see what the depth is of the sewer right there on 3rd East, but on 11th West, they're like 10, 11 feet deep. So an 8-inch sewer line can handle hundreds of homes on it, with depending on the grade and the slope and things like that. So I think there's plenty of capacity there on the 3rd East sewer line, and would be able to be reached if you have a basements and everything can flow out there too. There's also another line that flows south on Palomino Way there, which is just to the west of the property there. It's a 10-inch line. It's a little bit shallower. It's about 6 feet deep there, so they may or may not be able to reach it. The homes along Palomino Way can get to it there, but they may not be able to, depending upon the grades and everything of homes on 300 North. But it can flow along 300 North. There's plenty of capacity there.
Forgive my ignorance with sewer infrastructure. Is this a development that once built out, they could tap into either? Would you be seeing the development go only one direction or either?
You know, they could probably tap into either one. The one on Palomino Way is a 10-inch line, has a lot more capacity, of course, than an 8-inch line. If they can reach it and that's cheaper for them to reach that one, then they could go to that one. If they need to be deeper and they don't need to build up their development, then they could probably go out to 3rd North. And I would assume the same thing for people along 3rd North too there and other developments. Could reach that.
I just kind of wanted to sum up what my understanding of this would be. Kim, Gary, Peter, Jacob, I won't exclude you. You're welcome to chime in as well. Didn't mean to treat you like junior or something here. You're a very seasoned professional, sir. But it, I mean, the comment is, of course, spot on, but these are things that would happen with development. The developer would pay for and attend to this. I'm understanding this is an island, and the zone change is calling for exactly what we have on the general plan, right? So in my mind, this is just, we could discuss this, but it's a slam dunk.
Yeah.
Okay.
It doesn't really have much to do with the zone change.
Then if everyone's content, I'll go ahead and make a motion.
Yeah, go ahead.
Okay, great. For item 3.2, public hearing recommendation of Adam Albrecht's request, the Parker zone change, 2.4 acres at 300 North Palomino Way, changing the zoning from A1 agriculture to R1 22 residential agriculture. I move that we approve the zone change with the findings that it is consistent with the general plan, that it is development concerns would be met by developers per the city's usual functions, and it eliminates an island that currently exists in the way things sit right now, out of line with the general plan, and of course include DRC comments.
Can I make a suggestion?
Yes,
Sorry that we
please
recommend for approval.
Is this we recommend? Yes. My apologies. Just so excited with how spot on this one is.
Sorry.
No, thank you. Yes, recommendation.
Second stands.
All right, we have a motion and a second. All in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed? All right, moves forward to City Council. 3.3.
Okay. Yeah, and you still would like to hear 3.3 and 3.4 together? Okay.
Well, I would, but I'm open if you guys don't want that. But yeah, let's do it.
Perfect. Okay, so item 3.3 is public hearing and recommendation of Grow Development's request for review of the 1450 West, 1220 North zone change on 5.25 acres located at that address, 1450 West, 1220 North, changing from A1 to R122. And then item 3.4 is the same address, an 8-lot residential concept plan with no exceptions requested. So for the zone change, Like the last item, this matches the general plan designation of very low density residential agriculture for this space. And then on the concept plan, so it's the 8 lots that all meet the 22,000 square foot requirement. I know the applicant was just looking for some feedback on the layout, but like I said, no exceptions are requested. So you're actually the final approval body for the concept, but for the zone change, it will be recommended to the city council. With that, I'll turn it over to the planning commission for any questions.
Thank you. Any questions for staff? Is the applicant present? If you would like to, you may address or give us more information.
Hi, Boyd Brown, with Grow Development. I don't really have any comments. I'm happy to answer any questions, but we've worked well with the staff. I think we have pretty good understanding of what they need, their requirements, and we're looking forward to moving forward after we get the zone change on this. So,
They mentioned you were looking for feedback.
yeah, there were some challenges on the layout with the spacing of the road. We're trying to maintain the existing home on the property, but we've looked at a couple different options. But yeah, any feedback you might have, we're open to.
Any comments or questions for the applicant?
Are there any trails through this area? I don't know. I was trying to look on the maps and I didn't see any, and it doesn't look like there's. But are there any plans for
There's
that?
not, no,
Unless Jake
No?
was
no,
aware of it,
not in this
we haven't
area.
seen anything.
Would you like to put one in? You can start something great.
That's right.
Would you like to maybe some smaller density? And we did look at some trails, but no, this is kind of rural. It's the very low density. I mean, these are big lots, so we're happy to have larger lots and not trails or the other way around. So
Yeah. I have nothing for you. This is not a complicated one.
This is a public hearing. If anybody from the public is here to speak specifically to item 3.3, which is the zone change, please come forward and speak.
I'm Danny Gutierrez. I built a subdivision with Mike Du Bois just on the other side of 1220. Our only question, we're not opposed. Mike owns a property to the north here. I own some property still in the subdivision and west of here. You'll probably see me coming through here shortly, but my only concerns I have, and Kim probably remembers this, when we built Titans Drive there, we were asked or required to widen that road past the standard width because what we understood was our road was going to come through and connect to the property north of this. And so my only question is, does it make any sense to kind of keep that connectivity where that road, Titans Drive, comes across and then ties into the road right above it? Mike's not opposed to it, I'm not opposed to it. It's just, do we want to kind of have a conversation about how that road should look? We get a little concerned with the Kaler's property that Mike has some rights to potentially purchase that might interfere with layout on this 3 acres that's still going to remain there, that's going to kind of be locked a little bit. And so it's just a question of, do we work with Boyd and work with the city to make these roads work really, really well? I understand exactly what Boyd's doing. It makes sense for this particular property, but it does put the Kaler property kind of in a really weird spot. And, you may have a road where they're proposing it, and now you have another road just 2 houses down that, you're going to have 3 different entrances. Titans Drive's going to be in the middle. You'll have one cul-de-sac where the Kaler property is, and then, Boyd Street that's coming in. So, I think changing the zone is great, but that would be our only concern is just, you're going to potentially have 3 roads within, 250 feet or 300 feet, which is kind of scary to me.
Sure.
So just a thought.
Thank you.
Okay.
Bart Peacock. I live on 1533 West, 1220 North, just a little bit west of this proposed development. Have no problem with the zone change. It's nice to see some bigger lots. One of my concerns is on the north boundary or property line of this property, there's an irrigation ditch that comes under the tracks and follows all the property, the north property line. Clear down, and then it turns and goes south, down to my property. Zach Taylor lives straight across the road. He has a share, and then I have my water, and then I guess Danny has a share. My concern is on that ditch on the north, I've already piped the ditch running south. I took that upon myself and did that because of the problems of trying to maintain the ditch. The ditch that runs east and west on the north side of this property is kind of a delicate ditch. It don't hold water real well. It grows in and we have to burn it. How close can they build, Kim? 5 feet, correct?
For detached, like an accessory structure is 5 feet. The main home has a bigger setback.
Right, but a detached building can be within 5 feet of the property line. With that said, there's no way to burn and maintain that ditch. I've already fought this and didn't get nowhere. I got a detached, there's a neighbor that's got a detached garage that's 18 inches away from my property line. Another one is 5 feet. They'd all been at 18 inches if we wouldn't have changed. But that's all I could get was 5 feet. Correct, Kim? But there's no way to burn and maintain a ditch. That's my concern with that ditch on the north. If we don't do something with it, I can't be responsible when the water comes down there of flooding somebody because I can't take care of my ditch. I just think it's something that needs to be looked at. It probably needs to be piped. It's a big concern. Last year we fought with building debris blowing in it from the north, from that development, blowing down, clogging the ditch. It's something that's got to be addressed, in my opinion. Now, Jim Cortese, that's selling his property, has been real good to help me, but we're the only ones that ever do anything with it. With him leaving, I'm going to get stuck by myself, and it's a big project. But I don't feel like I should be responsible and worrying about that all the time, that my water's going to flood somebody. The way it is right now, we don't have trouble. Jim can take some of the water, we can divert it, we can do things with it, but with the development there, it's not good. My other concern is, in front of my property, 1220 is still just, you have 17 and 18 foot of asphalt is all you have. It's a very narrow road. With this construction that's gone on in Pioneer Heights, it's not safe. If they're gonna do a development, they need to think of closing the road to just local traffic and get the construction trucks, cement trucks coming in up through the subdivision where the roads are wider instead of having them on 1220. The other point that I'd like to know is, it said in the DRC comments that they would be bringing the sewer to 1200 West if they don't contain it on their development. Is that true? Is that how it's going to be?
Please address your comments to us. We'll get to them in the end. So this is a hearing. You're supposed to speak, and then we can address them when you're finished.
Okay.
Thank you. State your name, please.
James Cortese.
Thank you.
I want to say that the irrigation water, sorry,
We should add that.
we've been there 21 years, and the irrigation water that comes down that ditch Bart's talking about does flood my property out. I'm just saying that it will be an issue if it's not addressed. Thank you.
Thank you.
I can just speak to that since I'm the one that put in a lot of the storm drain over in this area.
Your name one more time.
Oh,
for the
Danny
record.
Gutierrez.
Thank you.
So right in front of Jim's house, we did put a big, I think it was a 16-inch irrigation box, or, well, probably a 4-foot irrigation box with a 16-inch line that drains down through Pioneer Heights. I will say we'll need irrigation water still on our property west of Bart, but I think piping is probably the easiest route to go, making sure we have some good, irrigation boxes that we can divert water properly. But I know that there are a couple of exit points there if it ever floods that we can catch that water and bring it down through the subdivision. So,
Thank you. Anybody else that wants to speak to this item? Seeing none, we will close the public hearing. There were no
Not on
comments
this
on
item.
this one. All right, a couple of things there. Width of Titan Drive and the alignment of the roads. Gary, do you have any input there?
Where they put their road is all dependent upon our standards of road widths and stuff. This is not a collector, an arterial, minor arterial.
Minor collectors.
Minor collector.
It's actually Luke's comment number 9.
So it will have quite a bit, a wide pavement. That was one of his questions there. I think 44 feet of pavement, so it's just a pretty wide road.
And that's 1220, correct? 1220 will be widened?
Yes, 1220.
Okay.
Yep, correct. So when the developments come in, they will be required to hold to that standard there. So the road will be quite a bit wider when it's improved. The roads, so if they meet our minimum road distances between intersections, then they can put that road kind of where they need to, the best fits for their development there. I appreciate his concerns there. We would require a stub out to the north from this property to connect onto the subdivision up north eventually when that middle piece gets developed in there. Yeah, if you can pull that up.
That would connect to Whisper Hollow.
Yeah, Whisper Hollow, yep. I believe that's the name of it. Yeah, Whisper Hollow, yes, Whisper Hollow. And as far as the sewer is concerned, the sewer is in 1220 north, and it will flow to the west till it gets to Titan Drive, and then it will flow down Titan Drive there. So it would not need to connect over there to 1700 west. But the storm drain, though, is a different issue, if that's what he's referring to. That probably will have to connect over to 1700 west, but we can work with the developer on that too and see what is best for them.
This isn't the first time that this area has brought up the infrastructure of ditches. Right, we've heard quite a few of them over the years. They are used. This is an agricultural area. Is this something that would be considered a project to pipe? And that would be a developer to pipe it, right? That wouldn't. Is that a city project?
It would be a city project. It would need, of course, the irrigation company's approval and all that too. And just from looking at it here, it appears that it's the ditch isn't on this piece of property. It's on the northern property there. So I don't know that this developer would be required to ditch it.
But sir, with the problem, I understand where it sits. But if you build a home or an accessory building 5 feet off the property line, how am I gonna maintain that ditch? Because it is right on the property line.
That was going to be my next question. Thank you for reminding me. The maintenance that they typically are burning at this point, that is problematic with a 5-foot.
It probably will be,
Right.
yeah. I don't have an answer to that. Another, maybe working with the irrigation company, see if they have some resources or something. I don't know.
So irrigation company don't sit in on DRCs?
No. Not typically, no.
Why?
I don't know. Maybe ask them. I don't know.
Just a reminder of the Roberts Rules of Order. Please have your time to address. We will get to the comments that have been made. Let's not shout out anymore, please. Thank you. Kim, did you want to address that?
To address that a little bit more, we do require applicants to contact, we provide the contact information so that they can get a hold of Lehi Irrigation, but they don't, because it's separate, it's not Lehi City. Lehi Irrigation is a private company, so we refer them to work with them, but they don't sit on the DRC. But there's definitely coordination that happens between the applicant and a lot of times with engineering and the irrigation company.
But in this case where the property does not have the irrigation ditch on it, they were likely not notified or brought to the attention of this?
Not yet, and we usually don't require any kind of coordination until we get to preliminary plat and then definitely at final plat, because at this point we're just, things may move around.
Sure.
But yeah, at preliminary would probably be the first time we'd recommend, hey, reach out to the irrigation company. But like Gary said, if the ditch isn't on this property as a city, our requirements can only require piping if it's on the property. So.
Understood.
Okay. So 30,000 foot view and brass tacks. First of all, this is concept. Nothing's happening tomorrow. Nonetheless, an improved concept does give some invested abilities here. So we want to be mindful of that. And I say this as much to the commission in question, clarify with staff, as well as to the room, so that we're all in full understanding. Obviously, the commission can only do what we're legally empowered to do. It's best when government does what they're empowered to do and not more. And that's where we get lawsuits. But this is a very real situation that we're describing here. Nonetheless, it's not on this property. This developer can't be asked to address it. So without, dodging the very real need of the citizens, what's the right play here? Let's not let the dotting of I's and crossing of T's, which needs to happen, negate, if we've got a real, issue for this corner of the city. So thoughts, staff, on?
Yeah, I don't know. I don't want to step on engineering's toes, but I know
Sure.
on previous developments, we have done like berming on the piece that's being developed. We could have them put some kind of a berm so that the water is retained, you know what I mean, so that it helps prevent water from coming onto their property and flooding them out. But I don't know. I'm sure the irrigation company might have some other ideas on what could or couldn't be done with that ditch.
Yeah, to me, it
Gary?
sounds like the issue is more the burning and the structure's too close to the property line, and if it's 5 feet off the property line, I don't know how big the fires get, but I imagine pretty big. So it is a problem. I don't know, maybe just throwing it out there, maybe the developer could increase that depth a little bit, maybe to 10 feet or something, offset for, I don't know, just thinking about that.
Okay.
But I don't have an answer right off the top of my head other than that.
Yeah, that's an interesting idea, that perhaps if we know there's some kind of a safety issue, that maybe there's a note on the plat that says accessory structures in this particular, because of the ditch and the maintenance needs, that instead of our typical minimum of 5 feet, they have to increase that to 10 or.
Is that within our power?
I guess.
Not in current code, right?
Sorry, Nate. Sorry.
I'll have to look that up.
Yeah, we could definitely look into it and see if that could be legally required, which, if we're trying to mitigate some kind of a risk or a danger, we may be able to, or at least recommend it, if nothing else, so.
But for clarity, as far as this ditch being piped, that would be something that would be addressed on the development of that property, not this property. Understood. Any other questions for staff?
Well, so according to the concept plan, that on the western side, that's a road on the north end, right? So the road goes up north and then heads to the west. So it's really only affecting the one lot on the east of that road. Where if they were to build a chicken coop out there 5 feet from the ditch, and it looks like the ditch kind of tapers to the north a little bit at that point. I don't know, so I'm just thinking it really only affects the one lot as a concept. Would the irrigation company pipe the ditch? I could see them going, no, it's not our job. Okay.
You probably have to ask them. I
Yeah.
don't know for sure.
Okay.
Any other questions for staff?
And I'm reiterating, this is in line with the general plan.
Right.
Okay.
And the first item is a zone change.
Yep, I know. Well, and so, where my wheels are going is, of course, a zone change. If it were not in line with the general plan, then I feel like that kicks it more muck, but it is in line with the general plan. I'm just thinking through how to respect everyone's rights here, development rights, recognizing that there are going to be some negative externalities that the neighbors potentially feel, but nonetheless, where that responsibility lies, this is where it gets fun, and I don't mean that in the way we usually use the adjective fun, right? Okay.
To be clear, I'm going to clarify. I'm going to open up the public hearing for 3.4 when we're done with 3.3, so you'll have another chance to come speak. I do see you. I'm not ignoring you, I promise. I will entertain a motion for 3.3.
Motion for 3.3, public hearing recommendation of Grow Development's request for review of the 1450 West, 1220 North zone change on 5.25 acres located at 1450 West, 1220 North, changing the zoning from A1 agriculture to R122 residential agriculture. The recommendation being that we approve the proposed zone change, with the findings being that the proposed amendment on the character of the surrounding area is consistent with the policies and goals of the general plan, and it is suitable for the uses requested, and it will overall be a benefit to the community, and please include all DRC comments.
Recommending approval?
Yes, I said, did I not say that? That's what I did,
but yes.
I'll second that.
Motion and a second. All in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed? All right. Having already heard and seen 3.4, were there any questions that you wanted to address to staff before we open the public hearing?
Do you want to pull the applicant up?
Applicant, would you like to come forward and address anything you've heard thus far?
I think that'd be useful. Then we'll get to public commentary.
Is it okay if I say one thing
Oh.
really quick?
Thanks, I'm happy to address it. I don't know that I have a quick solution.
One second.
Okay.
Jacob.
I think it'd be good just to clarify, this is a concept, this way back as a preliminary subdivision, as a public hearing at some point in the future.
Yeah.
Yep. Okay.
Correct.
I think that was going to be one of my comments. There's a lot of work we still have to do on the design, engineering, and working with the neighbors, the staff, and engineering. This ditch is something we were aware of. The concern, I hadn't thought about the burning as a maintenance. So, I think we would want to find a solution to that also. We're generally not trying to build structures in the way of
Flames.
controlled fires.
Yeah.
But again, I'm happy to try to work to that. I don't know what the solution is tonight, but I was glad that some light was put on it. But again,
No
it
pun
is
intended.
concept, and yeah, we'll work to try to make the best layout we can on it.
Great. Legal, I have a question. Technically, 3.4 is not a public hearing, so I misspoke. I still would like to entertain his comment that he has in the back. Is that within our purview?
I believe that would be okay, where you've opened it up as the commission member, or as the commission chair. You've let him speak, and so that should be fine.
Thank you.
I do have a question for Ms.
Please.
Brown, if I can. One of the DRC comments asked about the outbuildings, if they were going to remain or if I would assume that they're going to go away, but
Yes,
to
the
clarify.
current plan is to demo the outbuildings, and we're going to keep the house. And if we stick with this layout, all those outbuildings would be in a new building lot.
Okay, thank you.
Yeah. Any other questions?
Not for you.
Not yet.
Okay, thank you.
All right, with legal's grace, I was able to allow you to come up and speak again. So you are welcome. Anyone is welcome as well, not just you. But anybody is welcome to come and address this concept.
Yeah, Bart Peacock again. Sorry I get upset. It's just that we've been through this and been through it and been through it, and I'm kind of don't know how much more energy and money I got to try to fix ditches when I didn't create them. I didn't create it. I'm in the process of piping some more ditch on the east side of my property because of how close the homes are. There's a swimming pool right there. They claim they're getting water in there. Don't know how, but they are. It's 5 feet off my property line. But one of the other comments, I've got to have some way to access the head gate that's right at the railroad tracks on that ditch. It's worked out fine over the years because Jim has gone up and get it. He can go through his pasture, get it. But when this is all closed, a fence gets put in, I don't know how I'm gonna get to that head gate. So there's another concern. The ditch is a problem. So, thank you.
Thank you. Is there anybody else that wanted to address this item? Seeing none, we'll close that opportunity for speaking that wasn't permitted anyway, but we'll do it. I do have a question about that. Is there any protections that come with irrigation valves and where they turn on ditches or where they do that? Are there any? I mean, I assume that access has to be granted, or how does that, or grandfathered in? How does that work?
You know, that's a good question. It's never really come up before. Just looking at the site plan, it might be possible for him to walk up the road and onto the new property and across the ditch there. But he'd have to be trespassing on the other property.
Does he get an easement?
Yeah. I don't know if there is an easement across there. I imagine there is for the irrigation company. So there should be. Or at least prescriptive anyway, yeah. So that would be a great question I could probably bring up with the irrigation company, yeah.
Lots of great comments tonight.
Yeah, this hasn't come up before.
Yeah. Okay.
Okay. Any other questions for staff or the applicant? Seeing none, I'll entertain a motion for item 3.4.
Spit it out.
Oh, I don't have the coherent.
It's a little sticky.
It is.
This one?
I mean, one thing I do just want to. I mean, we don't typically necessarily address an individual citizen, but I do want to say I feel for Mr. Peacock. I understand what he's saying here. He's working with the infrastructure that's been put upon him, and I want to make sure we're not. Want to make sure we're attending to that. And the guy's got to have access to the head gate, and at the same time, the applicant, it's not on his property, which we can't require people to do things on property that isn't theirs. That's not even legal. So I just, this is really, I'll say again, a fun one, but I mean, I don't want to just throw my arms up at it. I'd like to see a meaningful answer in this. Pull with your blessing, could pull the applicant back up again one more time. Mr. Boyd, right? I know it's just concept plan. I would just love to hear from you. You've taken in all these comments. You're aware of the situation here. You obviously are not expected to do things that don't fit on your property. As this moves forward, we'll be working to find some solutions here with the neighbors.
Yeah, and I think that's all I could commit to now.
Of course. Again,
I can't make
you
a
have
commitment
rights here as well.
If it's someone
Yep.
else's property to
Yep.
do. As far as the access, I could look into that too, but again, that is, I don't know. I don't know the answer to that, and I'm not sure as a property owner it is my job to solve an
not.
access issue that doesn't exist.
I realize that.
And I think we can come up with a solution. My guess is that pipe will be ditched.
Yep.
In the
Ditch will be
future,
piped.
in combination of either what I'm doing or what Mr. Gutierrez and Du Bois are doing next to me. I mean, the layout we have, like Ken pointed out, it has a public right-of-way there, so that ditch would be in a public right-of-way or in a utility, so it would be easy to pipe that way. But on the other side, I'm not sure. It seems like we would want to have it piped if we're building some new houses in there.
Yeah.
But at this point, I think it's too early for me to commit to anything, one particularly where it's not on my property.
Completely
until we
agree.
haven't
That's not what I'm
gone through
asking
the
you to do.
engineering.
Well, let me be clear on
Most
that.
of the irrigation companies have pretty specific, there's either easements or there's not. And, we do, as Kim pointed out, we do have to work with the irrigation companies on all of our plats to the, as much as they impact our site plan. So something like building a swale or something like that makes sense. We would want to do it. We don't want it flooding on our property. And again, working as far as the maintenance of it with the fire and stuff is something that doesn't sound great for a new home either. So we're all, I think, aligned and coming to a solution. I don't know that I have a answer to how to solve it tonight.
And I wouldn't expect it.
Okay.
I also know it's early, but speak to the topography. Would you need to bring in fill for this plot or for these plots?
I don't think we have enough engineering to know. My guess is yes. It seems like a lot of the projects down here do have some fill, and I think that'll be dictated by the how we grade the roads and try to get the storm drain flow, and also where the depths of the sewer are. It seems like the sewer is pretty deep in here, but I don't know that I have an answer on what the final grade will be yet. And again, as Kim pointed out, this being conceptual, we'll dig in our preliminary plat and final plat, answer a lot of those things.
Do we know who the neighbors to your north are? The one whose property does have the ditch on it?
Yeah, that's the gentleman who's Mr. Du Bois, I believe. I've never met him.
Okay.
Mr. Gutierrez I am familiar with. So, I mean, it sounds like they have a concept in their hand right now. I mean, I think they're thinking about if they haven't made an application. So I think it would be easy to work with them in this situation where they have a similar idea of developing their property. But you're welcome to ask them that question. I can't speak to them to what they're going to do.
Okay, thank you.
Yeah. Anything else?
Any other question?
Thank you. Appreciate it.
Okay, just by point of discussion, again, I agree with what Commissioner Jackson said earlier in that I appreciate Mr. Peacock and others expressing their concerns. I see this as being more black and white, though, that because this is an administrative item and it does meet code, we do need to approve it. And then the auxiliary. Go
I
ahead.
agree with that. Let me be clear. It is administrative. Legally, we have to approve it. Sorry, go ahead.
No, that's it. Okay, so with that in mind, I'll put forward a motion. Item 3.4, public hearing and consideration of Grove Development's request for approval of the 1450 West, 1220 North concept and 8-lot residential development located at 1450 West, 1220 North. With this being an approval, not a recommendation of approval, but actual approval, with no modifications, with the findings that this is consistent with Lehi City's development code. The proposed concept does conform to the goals and policies of the general plan, and please include all DRC comments. I believe there were 10.
Would you add to that a recommendation that the developer continue to engage with the neighbors?
Love it. Love it. Of course, not necessarily something we can hold.
Nope, that's
them
why it's
to.
recommendation.
Love it.
Okay.
I'll second.
Motion and a second. All in favor?
Aye.
Aye. Any opposed? Thank you. You sure are.
But
Apologize.
Gentlemen, I encourage you, please keep eyes on the notices. This will hit the next stage of a real, far more solid development plan, and there's more teeth to be sunk into at that point. And we want to keep an eye on how this all develops as well. Yes.
3.5.